Good morning. A programming note. This is my last official show of our third season here at Political Paula. I will do a special farewell show, if you will, for this season tomorrow, which is a Friday. And I don't usually do shows on Friday, but this will be a special episode to recap our season and to thank you all for your subscription and your support for Political Paula. I will be on a short hiatus. But for today, here's something as I am getting ready to go on my vacation for a few weeks, which will actually turn into a few months. I will be doing shows periodically over the summer as I feel the need to. But when I'm here and I'm doing this show and I'm here in Lancaster, I am really secluded, to be very honest with you. I am not in large groups of people. I'm not out in public that much. So now, when I'm hearing about this measles epidemic, which is coming back after we thought we eradicated measles, and we should have, I'm mad as hell. I am mad. Last week, we were talking about this season, real ID, and you need a passport to travel and all this other crap. Well, here's something else you now need to travel. You need proof that you were vaccinated against measles, mumps, and rubella. I have that proof. I had to look for it. I had to search high and low for it in my records. I never thought at age 54 I would need to carry this with me in my wallet like I do my driver's license. Or if I travel, I will need this like I do a passport. But you need it. Last week, that cruise ship. Imagine this. You save all your life to take your dream cruise, and some stupid idiot who isn't vaccinated gets on your cruise ship, and the ship is quarantined. You can't leave your stateroom. Is that what you saved your money for that dream cruise? You can see the beautiful St. Lucia water, but you can't leave the ship because some idiot who wasn't vaccinated, whose parents were stupid, who didn't love them, they didn't get vaccinated. And if you don't have proof with you, and who does that? Who packs their vaccination proof when they go traveling? I wouldn't think to do it. I went to Jamaica. I went to St. Kitts. I went to St. Thomas. I went to the Cayman Islands. I never took proof of vaccination. I didn't need it. Now you do. So when you're packing your bags to travel, if you have proof you were vaccinated against the measles, you better take this with you in your bags so that maybe you can enjoy a little bit of your vacation and you won't be held prisoner on a cruise ship because of one stupid person who ended up getting on your cruise ship. The movie theater. People went to the movies, for God's sake, here in America, and they were all exposed to measles because of one stupid person. Gee, I've got a little rash. I'm just going to go to the movies anyway. It's America. I can do whatever the fuck I want. And you parents out there, guess what? I'm going to start asking you. See, I'm going down to Maryland very, very soon. Saturday. I'm going to Maryland. And I will be around children. I'm not around children here in Lancaster. There are no children coming into my house. I don't hug children. I don't see them. I'm not around children by choice. In Maryland, when I go to an event or a dance or I go, children come up to me. They love me. I love them. They hug me. Now it's going to be, whoa, wait a minute. Have your children been vaccinated? Now, let me just say, I'm angry because I had to look for this. Now, I know that my mother loved me, and I know that I had all my vaccinations, but I need to prove it to myself. So I did Google my vaccination certificate, and my last MMR vaccine was in 1977. Now, it should cover me. I should still be fine if I'm exposed to someone with measles. But now the problem is when I look it up online, it's kind of give and take. Maybe I should have a booster. I'm thankful that my husband, when he went into the military in 1987, he did get boosters. So he is completely fine. He's had all his, but again, he had the MMR vaccine as an infant because his parents loved him. They listened to the doctor. Now, my husband's parents are very religious people. They go to church, they volunteer in their church, but they vaccinated their children. And you heard what I just said. If you don't vaccinate your children, you don't love them. And not only do you not love your children, but you also are committing a sin and a crime against other innocent people. Because you think it's okay to not vaccinate your child and then send them into the public school system, or send them to the playground, or send them to the beach. Let them run around and hug people and be around other children. You're idiots. You're stupid. You're damn right. You are stupid, ignorant people. And see, this is my problem. That at 54 years old, I have to worry about an illness that shouldn't even be something I should think about. Measles. My God. Who gets measles? As a child, I never knew anyone who had measles because we were all vaccinated. And guess who else I didn't know as a child or a teenager? I never knew anyone who was autistic. Never. You know why? You know why there were no autistic kids and no severely disabled kids when I was growing up? Is because people had their kids in their 20s, in their very early 30s. They didn't wait till they were 45 years old to start having kids. Now, come on. You want to talk about why there's more autism in this world and more genetic illnesses among children in this world. It's not because of the vaccines. Doctors are telling women, and men, by the way, the men are just as bad. Old sperm and old eggs don't make healthy babies. So if you're going to wait till you're 50 years old and say, oh, well, I still get a period, let me decide to have a kid, the doctors are going to tell you, you are at high risk for having a child with severe disabilities. Don't blame the vaccines for it. The fact that autism is blamed on vaccines because it shows up at a time after the vaccines are given to infants. Autism shows up because in an infant you don't notice autism. Most infants all act the same. They lay around, they eat, they sleep, they throw up, they have blowout diapers. That's what infants do. You notice there's something that isn't quite right about your child when they're supposed to start walking or talking, and they're not doing that. But that doesn't mean the vaccines caused that. It means your child was born that way. And the reason your child was born that way is most probably something in your genes, your spouse's genes. You came together, you made this baby. I'm not saying it's your fault. But I am so sick of these parents who refuse to admit their own responsibility in their children's being not like other children and blame it on vaccines. Vaccines save lives. Vaccines are not expensive. If I have to now go get a vaccine, an MMR booster, because of all you stupid idiots who won't vaccinate your children, I'm going to have to pay for it out of pocket. You don't have to do that. Whether you have insurance or you don't, there is no doctor in this country that is going to refuse your child an MMR vaccine. Whether you can afford it or not, you can get your child vaccinated. Do it. I don't want to have to be afraid to be out in public. I don't want to have to be afraid to have a child hug me and have to say to their parents, is this kid vaccinated? I told you this horrific story of when I was a working woman. And I've told you, I did this thing about Big Brother just on Tuesday. But Big Brother needs to get involved in this. Here's my problem. I worked with this boss ass kisser who would never take a day off work, even if her child, she got a call at work, my workmate, her child had the chicken pox. She had to come get it. Instead of doing what most parents do, which is go pick their child up and tell the boss, I got to take my kid home. He's got the chicken pox. Oh, no, she brought him to the office. And I'm like, excuse me? And my supervisor said, well, everybody here's had chicken pox. I never had chicken pox. And I find it very inappropriate that this woman thinks that her job and impressing the boss is more important than taking her sick, feverish, spotted child home. She brings him into our office. I said, I gotta go. I have to leave. I've never had chicken pox, and I'm certainly not going to get them as an adult. You get them as an adult, they're 10 times worse. This face is not getting scarred by chicken pox. When I was an infant, they didn't have the chicken pox vaccine. Now, I was exposed to chicken pox as a child, which is interesting, and I never contracted them. So my pediatrician said to my mom, well, she might very well be immune to them naturally. But I wasn't going to take that chance. So, of course, my supervisor says, oh, you want to take a half-day vacation? I'm like, no, because I'm not going home on vacation. We don't have sick days, and I'm not going home sick, and I'm not going to take half a vacation day. You're going to pay me my full day's salary because it's not my fault I have to leave work. You should be telling this ass-kissing, boss ass-kissing woman she needs to take her sick child home and put him in his own bed and take care of him, which is her number one job. But this woman didn't do that. She brought a very sick and contagious child into our office and exposed every person in that office to the chicken pox. How do you know when you go to work and you're sitting in close proximity? The measles is very contagious. Your coworker could be sitting next to you, not vaccinated, have the measles, not know it, and you are exposed. Is that fair to you? These religious zealots, let's talk about the religious aspect. First of all, people who have read the Bible cover to cover, please tell me, first of all, where in the Bible it says, thou shalt not vaccinate thy children. Thou shalt not protect thy children from illness they can protect them from. Where does it say that? Just like no one can find anywhere in the Bible that says thou shalt not use birth control to prevent pregnancy from ever happening, I don't see anything in the Bible that says anything about vaccines. Because vaccines didn't exist back then. So we don't know what Jesus would have thought or how he would have preached about vaccines. They didn't exist. You got the Amish who won't drive cars. We don't know what Jesus would have said about cars. He might have loved them. And the second thing I want to say to you who use your religion to not vaccinate your children, when did your priest become a doctor? When did your priest become involved in your child's medical health care? In your health care. They're not doctors. They have no business in your health care decisions. No priest has the right to tell you not to vaccinate your child. Just like no priest has the right to tell you you have to have children, whether you want them or not. No priest has a right to tell you that you have to put your life at risk to have children, rather than use birth control. They don't have that right. And there's crossing a line. Are vaccines 250,000% safe? No. But no medical treatment is 150% safe. Think about this. Think about the first time your child got the bronchitis or the strep throat, and the doctor gave them antibiotic. And the first thing they say is the child allergic to antibiotic? Well, you don't know, do you? You don't know if your child's allergic to this because they've never taken it before. But are you going to let your child die from strep throat? As some religious nutcases, children have died from strep throat, believe it or not, because they don't believe in doctors, they don't believe in medication, they just pray. Pray that God will heal their children. Well, you know what? When the children die, then they say you didn't pray hard enough. Bullshit. So we do give our children that first dose of antibiotics. And some of them do have an allergic reaction to it. But most of them, it works. They're cured. And they lead healthy lives. So would you deny your child antibiotics for something that they have that they could be cured from? And if they don't take the antibiotics, they're going to die from? Parents every day make a decision whether or not to give their children chemotherapy when they're diagnosed with cancer. Because they know praying isn't going to work. I'm sorry, you know how I roll with this. There are people out there who think that God will take care of every bad thing that happens to them, and God lets them down. God lets them down. The truly faithful, they don't care. Oh, I guess we didn't pray hard enough. It wasn't our turn for the miracle. Our child died. Our child was shot in kindergarten at Sandy Hook. Our child was in a car accident. Our child got cancer and died. Believe it or not, modern medicine is always there for you. God, sometimes not so much. Sorry if that's sacrilegious or that insults any of you, but it's the damn truth. Pray to get well when you're sick. And don't take the antibiotics. Did you get well? Probably not. You needed the antibiotics. Pray that your child survives cancer. Well, if your child survived cancer, chances are they had really good doctors and really good medicine. And that's why your child lived, not because of God. God might help you get through a child's illness, but God isn't the one who cures your child. Modern medicine cures your child. God is not going to stop your child from getting the measles. The vaccines will. And not only are you protecting your own child, you are protecting anyone your child comes in contact with. There are people in this country who, because of certain health concerns, they can't get vaccinated. They want to, but they can't. And doctors will let you know, by the way, if it's dangerous to get a vaccination. But then it's up to your fellow human beings, your fellow citizens, to vaccinate their children who can receive the vaccine, to vaccinate themselves so they don't make you sick. You know, we read all these sci-fi books and these apocalyptic books of this plague that's going to come and kill, biological weapons, smallpox, all this crap. Wouldn't it be really scary and sad if what ends up taking us out in multitudes is actually something that we could have eradicated, and we did eradicate in the 1980s, measles. It's an epidemic right now, people. You can't send your kids to college unless you get them that booster just in case. College campuses are being quarantined, shut down. Cruise ships, movie theaters. You have to be afraid to be in public. Even if your parents did love you and did vaccinate you. This is a big experiment right now. How long did those vaccines from the 70s last? I guess I'm going to find out because I'm not in a position right now to go out and get revaccinated. Number one, I don't want to pay for it because I don't think I should have to. And number two, I don't even have a family doctor to go to and get a vaccine. But once again, I'm counting on my good mom who never refused a vaccine. My mom was a religious woman. She prayed to God every night. But she also trusted the doctors and she trusted the vaccines. And because of that, I never had any of the diseases that a lot of my friends had, like chickenpox. Now, there was no chickenpox vaccine. I never got chickenpox. But there are people who say, I don't want to do the chickenpox vaccine now that we have it. Chickenpox is a rite of passage. No, it's not. Do you remember those crazy people that were having chickenpox parties where if their child had chickenpox, they would bring the child to other children so they could all get chickenpox at the same time and be done with it? Well, no, see, that's not cool. I had a teacher in junior high school who was so horrifically scarred from chickenpox. She had these things all over her face. They would never go away. She looked like a burn victim. Chickenpox is not it's just a rite of passage disease. It's serious. It's serious. And remember this about the measles. 1 in 4 people, or 1 in 10, who get measles will die from it. And 1 in 4 who get the measles will have lasting disabilities or issues from having the measles. This is not something to be played with. This is not something to pray about. This is not something to let a priest or a church or some religious fanatic or some idiot on Facebook warn you against. Political Paula's stance on this is vaccinate your kids. Vaccinate them. And if your kids end up with autism or some form of disability, don't blame the vaccines. Blame the fact that maybe you didn't really hear the doctor when he said, you're 38 years old, you probably shouldn't have any more kids. Put the blame where it belongs. Don't try to blame vaccines and scare other people from vaccinating their children. Because I don't want to live in a world where I have to be afraid to walk into a restaurant. Because kids go to restaurants now. And now we have adults that are actually spreading this disease. Because they don't give a shit. Oh, I might have a little rash. Let me just go see the Avengers. I really wanted to see that on opening day. All the people at the movie theater now exposed to this horrible disease. Not vaccinating, not being vaccinated, going out in public while you are not feeling good. That is selfish. That is selfishness to the nth extreme. I shouldn't have to worry about you making a decision out of stupidity and ignorance that could make me sick. I talk about Big Brother. I talked about it on Tuesday. This is a situation where the government should make laws. If you don't have one of these, if you don't have proof that your child has been vaccinated, then your child is not welcome in school, your child is not welcome at church, your child is not welcome in a restaurant, or a movie theater, or on a playground, or on a beach. Your child isn't welcome anywhere until you can prove they are not a risk to innocent people who've done the right thing. And the only fault is that we had the right thing done for us by our loving parents a long time ago. Maybe I should go out and get a measles, mumps, and rubella booster. I'm certainly not afraid to get it done. It's not going to cause me any physical harm. But it pisses me off that I even think I might have to. That I might have to spend my money to get vaccinated against a disease that should have been eradicated in the 80s. And if not for the religious fanatics and the guilty parents who have brought severely disabled children into the world who need something to blame and blame vaccines, measles would not be something we were talking about right now. So vaccinate your children. And for all of you adults out there, if you have not been vaccinated for over 40 years, check your records, make sure, ask your parents for your vaccination records, and double check. And if you have a family doctor, talk to your doctor. Should I get a booster? I would advise anybody who is traveling and you're going to be around a bunch of strangers, people you've never met, like on a cruise ship, walking into a movie theater, perhaps you do need a booster. But how sad is that in 2019 America? That, we used to say, oh, when you go to like certain parts of the world, like Africa or something, you need certain shots, malaria and meningitis and all kinds of stuff. But isn't it sad that first of all, you're going to need one of these, and you might need to go to the doctor and get a booster before going to the Jersey Shore for your family summer vacation, before you take your kids to the movies? How sad is it that we've come to this point in our country? Mostly because of religious fanatics, stupid people who believe religious fanatics, and of course, the guilty parents who have children who are sick and need something to blame other than maybe they shouldn't have had those children in the first place. I'll be back tomorrow with my farewell episode for the third season of Political Paula. Until then, Political Paula is out.